shit. Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire here. It's Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. We're here for 4chan and the Kiwi Farms versus the UK versus Ofcom. And very interesting lawsuit here. I think a digital war of independence, something that's super important to be stopped. I mean, essentially, America's got to keep other countries, including the UK, from extending their sovereignty into its boundaries. If it starts with the UK, it does not end. Every other country will be able to do this and step on American digital sovereignty. So we got to deal with that today. And we're going to talk about that today on Legal Mindset. Very based today, very American, very red, white, and blue. But to be fair, this can apply to any country in the world. So it's not just America. So this sort of thing, for example, the UK's law can be used to reach into Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, anywhere in the world and say, hey, we're going to apply our laws. Is that all right? No, that's a form of digital colonization and should be resisted the exact same way. So let me get some comments here. King Luja gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships, extremely based. Yes. And Euro Clegane said 1 year of Legal Mindset for freedom. Thank you. And we're going to have a fast facts on this one too. Mr. Melancholy said the UK government is nuttier than squirrel shit. Well, and to be honest, the fact that they would try to threaten American corporations when they know damn well that there's no ability to enforce that without going through the proper procedures, which would not apply here. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. I've got a PowerPoint. I've also got the actual complaint. So we'll go through both. Loser in a suit says, don't forget Kiwi Farms. This party is a party. It should be treated as an equal and not ignored like many people have. But no, I've got them in my, I got them in my PP. So I'm not ignoring the fact that Kiwi Farms is in here. And the fact of the matter is, as long as what they're doing is legal in the United States, it's fine. Right. And that's the legal part of it. Right. So the problem is that people often go with the subjective right and wrong versus the legal side. But yes, it is 4chan and the Kiwi Farms versus the UK. Of course I have a PP today, guys. Were you doubting my PP? Guys, come on. So yeah, what do we have here? And I'm going to pull up the lawsuit at the end. This is kind of the PP for the folks at home who like the PP before we get into the actual document and read it. But what we have here is 2 American companies, American-based companies, 4chan and the Kiwi Farms, versus the UK, and essentially their enforcement arm of the UK's Online Safety Act, which is called Ofcom. And they're attempting to say that the UK's Online Safety Act does not have authority within the bounds of these United States. That's the attempt there, right? They want that to be the case. Now, of course, the UK is going to fight them because they want to try to apply this law within the bounds of the United States. They might try to, go through some other shenanigans. But by stopping this here, it really will keep the Online Safety Act from having as much authority as people think it might. Because a lot of these servers that are based in America will just put up their middle finger to the Online Safety Act and say, hey, no, we're going to do what we want to do. Let's continue here. And of course, this is more than about the memes. Of course, the memes are good. But this is more than about the memes. So the background here is, look, the U.S. has a larger tech sector than Europe. The U.S. tech sector is much, 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 much larger. There's no single European country that will outclass the U.S. in tech sector. Even collectively, they don't really match up. And because of that, because they are not innovating, because they are actually seeking to regulate, right? So because they can't keep up, they're saying, hey, we're going to regulate you to try to keep you back. And they've actually targeted many Americans and other American companies or people with servers operating out of America that are behaving lawfully. So in their own country. So for example, in America, this is legal, but because it's not legal in, I don't know, Finland or Germany or whatever, the UK, they want to try to regulate it. They want to try to ban it, and they want to try to arrest people over it. So we saw that with obviously Pavel Durov, who got arrested in France, the CEO of Telegram. And we saw this with them opening in France, once again, a criminal case against X. So that's huge. That's huge. Massive. And, you know, the thing is, this is only going to continue. So if France and other countries, considering the UK, are allowed to continue to go down this path, we're going to end up with essentially European censorship in America. King Lucia said, "BRIC colonized countries will definitely resist this." I can bet. Marcus X, what are your thoughts on the BST SB20? That's another topic. I know that some people were trying to get me to comment on this the other day, and I need to go back because I'm pretty sure when I did comment on this, I was pretty clear about the fact that, look, hey, it's probably not going to be applied the wrong way, the way people think it is, to kind of ban all things. But if somebody does try to ban something, then the industry and everybody should come out, crowdfund, and fight back. So that's another topic, but good one. Nice new topic, Andrew. Would you consider covering Judge Hannah Dugan's case in the future? Cheers. I will look that one up. Judge Hannah Dugan. I will look that one up. Okay. Let's see. Pilot Girl says, what about KOSA? KOSA, that would be a whole separate thing. That's a U.S. thing. But obviously, if the U.S. passes that, then it becomes law in the United States. So as far as I'm aware, that has not been passed yet. I think it's proposed. But the point of the matter is that would be a big thing, because the whole thing about the KOSA that's problematic is that social media needs to take, quote unquote, reasonable steps. So what is a reasonable step under the KOSA is very vague. Maxipop says, stupid question. Are they also going to go after Reddit? Well, eventually they would, right? Eventually they would go after every platform that to them violates their principle of, what is free speech. So obviously the UK has a different principle and level of free speech than the US. The US is higher level. So because it's a higher level, and because some content which is offensive is still permissible, right? Some content that is offensive is still permissible. So someone asked, for example, is Kiwi legal though? They dox people, including VTubers. Well, some things are legal, some things are not. And it also depends on the state. That this is a very complicated question. I can't just say, yes, it's legal, or no, it's not. There have been instances where there may have been certain things that cross the line. However, I will note that a lot of those things have been taken down, or when they were contacted, they eventually said, okay, we'll put this down, right? So that's been generally how that works. However, there are some gray area cases. So it's not like carte blanche, like, oh yeah, they can never do nothing wrong, or, oh yeah, it's perfectly illegal. No, there's many things they do which are legal, perfectly legal, and maybe there've been times when the line has been crossed legally. That's a case-by-case basis, right? So, and a lot of times, for example, posting public information about people that's publicly available or accessible is legal. It might not be savory, but it indeed is legal in the United States, as long as there's no intent, there's no criminal intent paired with that, right? If there was a criminal intent paired with that, then maybe it could trigger a statute related to cyberbullying, harassment, etc. Max Bob says, stupid question. Are they also going to go after Reddit? No, that's a good question, and they might. What's the guy answer that one? Also, Mods Lassen. Morning, all. Morning to you too. Morning to you too. It's good morning. Yeah, it is always a case-by-case basis. Ava, another lawyer here backs me up. You got to say one. You got to look through each single case. That's why, guys, as a person in the law, I hate to make generalisms that just cover everything. Whenever there's a generalism, I know there's probably an exception, and you probably should say, okay, mostly this or mostly that. It's usually not all. Let's get into this. So, Online Safety Act, what does it do? Well, it's a UK censorship law. And the problem is it's used to being targeting people and companies that are exercising what is their free speech in America. So in America, what they're saying is free speech, ostensibly, and they're saying, hey, no, we don't want you to do this. Now, Ofcom is a statutory corporation, a government corporation serving as the enforcement arm for the Online Safety Act, and they're sending written threats to impose huge civil penalties and referrals to law enforcement if Ofcom's orders are not obeyed. So they're essentially saying, hey, if you don't obey us, we are going to bury you in not only debt, but also we are going to get you arrested. Now, how they're going to do that, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to send like I don't know, that they're going to charge a light brigade into, Washington, D.C. to snatch people up, or into West Virginia to snatch people up, or Delaware, wherever else, to snatch up the corporate people from 4chan or from Lolcow Inc., right, which is Kiwi Farm's corporate entity. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to, they would just threaten them, issue fines, and ostensibly maybe try to enforce those in the United States, try to have people collect on those. To me, those would be unenforceable because they don't follow proper procedure. Because there's a huge sovereignty issue there. There are treaties that deal with how you're supposed to enforce judgments and crimes across boundaries, and they're not following those. And because of that, that's a sovereignty issue. When you're attempting to reach into another country, that is a huge sovereignty issue. Zippity Zap says it feels like a world government when other countries force another to apply their laws rather than IP ban or work differently. Exactly. If they really want to block it, IP ban it. And that's fine. And that's the country's ability to do that entirely. Aristotle says it's the idea that treaties applying here to connect the jurisdiction. Can the U.S. compel the UK? Can the UK compel the U.S. government to enforce it? No, they can't. And this does not fall under our existing treaty. We have a mutual legal assistance treaty. However, this is not the case because that only applies when somebody is a criminal in one jurisdiction and the same crime is a crime in another. The best example is murder. Murder is illegal everywhere. So if you are a murderer in Britain, you can be taken back or punished or whatever, sent over there, right? Extradited for murdering over there. So it's got to be something that is enforceable on both sides. So they're not going to be able to compel this one. And they didn't also go through the proper procedure under that statute. Rocam Bull Gym Blades for 50 says, I have a feeling these censorship laws will cause more problems than they solve, especially in terms of enforcement across borders. Exactly. It's a massive issue. It's a massive issue. Let me continue here. And it's a constitutional crisis because enforcing this would violate the Constitution, U.S. law, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, the Speech Act, the Communications Decency Act. All of these acts go to say that this attempt at enforcement, especially without following the proper American due process and procedure, violates our rights. And because they're not following any of the regulations and rights and acts that have been passed in the United States, particularly in terms of online speech, that would be essentially allowing the UK to violate the US Constitution and allowing them to trample on US law. It also, once again, doesn't follow the existing treaty between the US and Britain over legal assistance. So that existing treaty does not work. Does not work here. I'm a networking tech. Everything I know about how the internet operates and our Constitution functions, there shouldn't be a need for a lawsuit here. We should just be able to laugh in their face. Exactly. But, the thing is, Cringe Lord, sometimes you need a declaration. The reason why, I think this is important, and this is a very good point, a very good point. I want to address this. Actually, I'm bringing that back. Is that we can laugh in their faces, and ultimately we should laugh in their faces. We should meme them to hell and back. But having a declaration, a declaratory judgment, declaratory relief, and dangling that in the face of the Brits, it's not, once again, it's the British people, not the British people, the British government, right? Keir Starmer, etc., the government that passed us, right? Being able to dangle that paper is the biggest way to say, no, we retain our sovereignty, and the digital landscape is part of our sovereignty. The American digital landscape is part of our sovereignty. And if you look at the lawsuit, which was written by Ron Coleman, who's actually a good friend of mine, it's helped me out in the past in many ways. Let's try to zoom in here. You can see that a lot of the focus here, when he writes about this, is on American sovereignty. So I'm just going to read this first bit. The internet is a global system of communication between computer systems, computer servers located in data centers around the world. Despite the internet's global reach, it is more or less universally acknowledged that the internet is predominantly an American innovation, built by American citizens, residents, and companies, and that the U.S. has the largest and most thriving tech sector of any G7 member state. Foreign governments, particularly those in Europe, which have not managed to build tech sectors of their own, have for the past half decade or more sought to control the American internet and hobble American competitiveness through a range of legislative and non-legislative initiatives. So saying they're essentially trying to regulate the internet and control it through that. So talking about the pass of the Online Safety Act, but one of the funniest things is when they go down here for the parties, they talk about 4chan. 4chan is based in Delaware. Delaware was a colony of the Kingdom of Great Britain until the Assembly of the Lower Counties of Pennsylvania that declared itself independent of British authority on June 15th, 1776. That's created the state of Delaware. Delaware subsequently was the first state to ratify the Declaration of Independence, the instrument which created the USA, on July 4th, 1776. Under the Treaty of 1783, Treaty of Paris, the Kingdom of Great Britain officially acknowledged the United States as a sovereign and independent nation. So once again, there we go. Assuming that, hey, we have sovereignty here. So we're located in Delaware, that is sovereign here. They also established the same thing for Virginia, and then also acknowledge the split of Virginia and West Virginia. Very, very funny, but very, very true, and I think very, very important to kind of restate. And as you can see here, what they want when you look at the bottom here is they want declaratory judgment that they were improperly served process when they were threatened by Ofcom. So all of those, legally binding information notice and failure to respond warnings and final legal notice, all that sort of stuff, all of that being illegal, all of that not following the existing treaty. And also, the funny thing is trying to get legal expenses out of the British government. Imagine that. If the judge awards legal expenses over this, that'd be hilarious. Hilarious. But anyways, also Kiwi Farms going for the same thing, improper service process and unconstitutionality of the UK order for both 4chan and Kiwi Farms. So it's essentially saying, hey, what you're saying that is legally binding that you've been sending over is in fact illegal, unenforceable, and we're not going to follow it. We're going to laugh in your face. Kimchi says, hey, worried about a Texas situation anime. I fear they may have gone overboard and banning not only adult stuff, but anime as well, increased censorship. I saw one post, and I'm not unaware, and people who listen to me need to listen to me carefully. What I said was, I don't think this will be able to ban all anime successfully. That never meant they might not try. And there are certain things that they are trying to ban. And I saw that there was a vendor that got banned from a certain area in Texas. And I think that's overreach. So I think that they would need to look into, hey, let's fight back against us. Let's sue against us. I never said they wouldn't have to fight back. I just said if they go that far, if they cross that line, they're going to lose because the Constitution has ruled pretty clearly on a lot of stuff. But yes, I will talk about that in a future one. Devil's Advocate says International Shoe, Calder, Zippo, enough said. Yep. Very good. Incoming Smash JT Radio. Oh, awesome. Cool. Good to see that. Well, hello, JT. Hello, people from Smash JT. Hope you guys are well. As well. Yeah, if you... Yes. So this is actually a good comment here. I normally don't answer this, but someone said, if U.S. companies won't comply with the country's local laws, the reduce is true. Well, sure. So if the U.S. is going to require a local company to do something and they don't want to do it, that's fine. Here's the difference, though. These companies are preying on the US market. The US market is much bigger digitally and physically than most other markets. So if you're Liechtenstein, right, and you say, I'm not going to follow US law, and the US is like, okay, I'm just not going to give you access to the US digital, the whole digital world in the US is closed to you. The market is closed to you. That's a big deal for Liechtenstein or a Liechtenstein company because they're relatively small. The domestic market is not large, right? But going the other way, the US is like, okay, if I have to pay attention to these laws, well, whatever, it may not be a big deal as long as it doesn't violate our free speech laws. And as long as it's relatively de minimis. But then again, once again, a lot of times the laws that are passed by other countries are the same as laws that exist in your country. So if you both have laws that, let's say, require that deal with fraud, or let's say, wire fraud or any form of electronic fraud is illegal. That's good. You both can enforce that equally without any problems. Cry Rabbit says, we, Declaration of Independence. My aunt found out that we come from a family line back to the signer event when she went to join the Daughters of Liberty. Oh, cool. Yeah. I think my grandma was part of the DAR. I think that the grandma was part of the DAR. So I think I have one side of the family. I know I have one side of the family that was like Mayflower there. I think they were there for they were even like Dutch colonists or something, like way, way, way back. But yeah, there's another side that's more recent. To clarify, there's a chance that Kiwi Farms and 4chan end up before the Supreme Court to secure the memes. Hey, listen, that's even greater. And because it secures it forever and it just needs to be locked down. That makes it all the greater. Camp says that came in late and one mentions cheap reviews. It's all right. Albert Ava, 4chan, Q Farms asking for our government to defund us. Well, listen, what I don't want to see is American companies paying out to the UK or American individuals paying out to the UK. That won't be good. Extreme British mocking accent. Go ahead and try. Go ahead and try. I can't even do this. Go ahead and try to enforce it, Gov. Worked out real great last time for you, didn't it? I'm sure you would love a repeat of what happened 250 years ago. Okay. I really I need to get the feeling in me. But thank you for that super chat. My accents are not the best, but I try. Oi, you got a license for that opinion? That's a good one as well. Okay, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Rednor family for 5 says, I think it's funny in a historical light. Hey, Buster, we haven't listened to you for over 200 years. Oh, it's so true. And the thing is, on what basis did they think they were going to get away with this? I really don't know. And only being headed by, it's like governmental Karenism in its worst way. And it's just not going to work. My fellow Anglo-Saxons from across the sea, do what you must. I love you. Protect yourselves. It's true. Also have to deal with PayPal, Visa, MasterCard. That's a separate thing, but I get what you're saying. It's international border stuff. And it's very, very important to fight back against that fight. Can the U.S. cut off the UK from the internet? Well, that's an oversimplification, right? Where there are ways in which you can mess with each other, but there's always workarounds, right? So there's a much more complicated question. and also one that I, as a lawyer, am not somebody who's in that sector, although I have good friends who are in that sector. I have friends who do data centers, who run data centers, etc. I can't give you the technical answer, but what I'm saying is that's a more complicated question than I'm capable of answering. Release. N3 says, yesterday was my birthday. I turned 23 and went to DC Universal Lights, Medieval Times, and comics with Mom. That's so awesome. That's really sweet. Well, I hope your mom is doing well and happy birthday. Today's my friend's birthday, and I am going to, I'm actually helping throw their party. So that's why I can't do a evening thing, because an evening stream for me, which is morning for you guys, because I'm helping throw their party. So after this, I'm going to go get ready for that, get all the surprises and all the good stuff, and make sure they are very, very happy tonight. So that's what I want to make them, is just have fun on the birthday. So for all those that may have birthdays, happy birthday, September. August was my birthday. September is a lot of people's birthday. So happy birthday to those out there. Devil's Advocate said, to clarify, International Shoe Calder and Zippo are all cases clarifying when personal jurisdiction can be imposed. In those cases, Ofcom will lose. Cry hard. No, sorry. I agree. So these are all cases that relate. They're all cases that you learn in Civ Pro, right? Civil procedure. And all of those say, hey, look, you don't have jurisdiction here, and you're not going to be able to go after people personally. It's not going to work. And the personal jurisdiction, meaning the corporate personal jurisdiction. It's not going to happen. Pilot Girl says, by the same token, we shouldn't bow to the EU. Yeah, no, we're not going to bow to the EU. I think you meant bow, not now. Of course. Andrew said, Andrew, you're tired. I said defend, not defund. Oh, sorry. Defund. I must have been watching something else, but I have been I have been having some weird sleep because there's something woke me up last night, so it's possible. Steve C said, a nice release. My mom would have been 72, cancer. Oh, I'm sorry. Crikey, your British accent sounds like Aussie. Well, I know, it's just closer to me now. Australia's closer to me. I deal with more Australians on a day-to-day basis. Hypnotic said, why do you want things in you? Pause that, sir. Hypnotic, what's up, brother? I hope you're doing well. Cringe Road said, again, as a networking tech, the internet is more fragile than you think. Playing politics with it is a fool's gambit. And this is what has been explained to me, right? This is what has been explained to me, that we shouldn't be going to, we shouldn't be using it as a political football, right? Senior Jack says, the U.S. is forcing TikTok to have servers on U.S. in order to be allowed in the U.S. market. Every country is sovereign, has the same rights as the U.S. Sure. But once again, I think that's Cringe Lord's point. If people start playing politics and everybody starts doing this, then it's going to be a mess, right? It is going to be a mess. Be ready for the rug pull. It's coming. Payment processors are definitely going to openly defy Orange Man. Well, that will be interesting. We're going to see. Mags the Pampa says, motion for you to rehydrate. We discussed this mess. I got it. Hold on. I'll put a little break here. Let's do this one as a little break as I rehydrate.
しっかり足を踏み出して体重を移動しながら腰をひねり肩に力を伝えて
Classic Somali toss. It never goes wrong. And I think the payment processor battle that a lot of you guys have brought up, I think that is a long one. And that's one that's going to require a robust solution, both political and business. It's going to require both of them to work together to solve that problem. 100%. By the way, on the emotional cabbages, I may have an announcement soon. I have to wait about a week. But I have a couple merch people that I got recommended for the emotional support cabbage. But bigger than that, there may be something that can solve my merchandise problem and some of my other problems, but I can't talk about it yet. So I got to wait like a week or two, and then I'll have a surprise for you guys. So probably I'm thinking like 2 weeks I'll be able to tell you. So I will let you guys know around that time, maybe 2-3 weeks. So we're thinking about it. And also, I may have an update on the Somali case where I need to issue a correction. Now, I'm not sure about this yet, but it's possible I have to issue a correction. And this is going to be a hell of a correction, but it's going to be a correction where my correction is worse than my prediction. So the correction that I'm going to have to make, it's not going to make things better for Ramsey. It's actually going to make them way worse. Way worse. But we'll see. Okay, guys, listen. Until next time, guys, please, enjoy yourselves. I'm going to have other topics coming up. We got more with the Ethan Klein lawsuit. We got more with other lawsuits. I may do an update on Jean Parmenov because it's a lot of been going on in France regarding that. I may have an update on Roger Jackson. That's another big one. So all that stuff may come in the future. I know this was a short stream, but I've got a lot to do today, so I'm trying to move. And I know this is at a very, very odd time, so we do have a smaller audience than normal. Stick around, though. You'll be directed to the Fast Facts, and I will catch you on the next one.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's you coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are molding.
inhuman.